Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Gabriel, your very host on this particular video. Yes, we'll be looking at Cambridge IGCSE ICT Paper 1 Theory for May-June 2025. This is Paper 1-2. I know this video has been much anticipated by so many candidates and teachers alike, especially those preparing for October-November 2025 examination series. Now you have this video. Make sure you like it, you subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with other people. Now welcome back to the solution. Now, as we all know that the total mark for this paper is 80. Now let's start with the question. The first question says, circle 2 direct data entry devices in this list. Now, if we look at that, we have QR scanner. Yes, QR scanner, it's an input device, a direct data entry input device. Then RFID reader. Others are like 3D printer, output, storage. This is not direct data entry input device. This is not direct data. This is not direct data entry device, and this is storage. So that's why this will be the valid answer. Okay, good. The next question: a computer system uses both application software and system software. Describe the following types of application software. CAD, computer aided design. Now, for this computer aided design, this type of software is an application software, as has been said. Now, you know, all these kind of designs, computer aided designs, we usually use them to produce 2D drawings, 3D drawings, you know, all those two-dimensional drawings. So we can put it to be that describe the type. That's what the question is saying. So it is used to create 2D and 3D design of models. All right, you can say that it's a 2-mark question. This is a valid one. You can also say that it makes it easy to modify or redesign such kind of design or model as stated earlier. And you can also say it is used to create digital representations of objects before actual manufacturing. So these are some of the uses or description of computer aided design software. Okay, now for measurement software, we can interact with sensors. Of course, you know, sensors are used with computers, but of course sensors are analog devices. So measurement software makes it possible for the computer to have communication with sensors, because sensors are analog devices. So we can say that one description of measurement software, it's an application software that allows a computer to interact with sensors and some other physical quantities from the environment. Okay, then which makes it easier to analyze such data gotten from sensor. Analyze data gotten from sensors. So we can say this is one of the description of measurement software. So it is very important that we take note of that. Then another one we can say is that let me try to increase this font. Okay, so for video editing software, a whole lot of us use this regularly, so we should be able to say something about it. If not for video editing software, it won't be able to edit, add features, format our video clips. So it helps users to add different features to the video file. Another thing is that it makes it possible for us to set a particular output format. It helps to specify specific output format for the video, and then it allows the video to be exported to different platforms. So this is a good description for video editing software. Then another question is, state the purpose of application software generally. Application software, just as the name connotes, it makes it possible for user to apply the computer to specific function. So we can say that of application software. It's a 1-mark question, so if you like, you can say it allows the user to perform specific tasks with the computer. So that's a very good answer. So for that, then the next question, which is question 3, the head teacher at Tawara School is planning to improve the registration system of pupils. The head teacher can choose a system that uses either ID cards with a magnetic stripe or scanners that reads handprints. You know, handprints could be like our fingerprint, something like that. So biometrics, so to say. So discuss the benefits and drawbacks of using a system that will read handprints. So that's a kind of biometrics. Just like we have fingerprints, we have retina scan and all that. So we have handprints generally. So that's talking about biometrics. So in other words, we can say we are discussing the benefit and drawbacks of using biometrics in this case. So we can say for the benefits, we can say that we know, just like every biometric is unique, you can say handprints are unique to individuals. So we can say that as such, it improves the security of the registration. It therefore improves the security of the registration system. So which means that every pupil has to be present to register. Each pupil has to be present to register. Okay, then because of that, it is hard to forge. It is hard to forge or clone. Okay, clone a particular handprint. So it is hard. Then because of that, it's a form of fast data entry. Okay, and which can easily prevent shoulder surfing. But then it comes with its own disadvantages. One disadvantage is that it's expensive to set up. You know, and then if there is any damage to the hand or the palm, then it will be difficult to read. So any damage to the palm make it difficult for the reader to read the handprint. Okay, Then we can say that another thing is that it could lead to invasion of privacy, because it is invasive. It is invasive of individual privacy. Okay, this is another one. And you can say that when you want to set it up, it could take time. Yes, because you need to collect all the handprints of the prospective students that will be using it. So you can say it could take a lot of time to set up the system at the initial stage. All right, so these and many more are some of the advantages and disadvantages of that. This is a 6-mark question, so you could make it 3 advantages, 3 disadvantages, just like I've stated here. Now the next question is question 4, and it's saying that for a computer system needs to be tested before it can be implemented. So under system lifecycle, we have different stages and we have implementation stage. So then when you want to implement, you need to test first. Okay, that's why they call it implementation and testing. So development and testing, but of course while you are implementing or before you implement, you need to test. So under development and testing, you test each part of the system. So the question is saying that state the following elements, state why the following elements needs to be tested before it will be implemented. The first one is the file structure. Why do you need to test the file structure? Now, so it's very simple to do that. When you test it, you are ensuring for file structure now, because that's when you say, okay, this is you set it up, whether it's going to be text, the structure of the file, or the data you are setting up. So we can say that to ensure the integrity of data or of the application, whether it is compatible or not, and also to prevent crashes, to prevent data corruption and crashes. So you need to test, so that, because if you don't test and you have used a wrong data type, for example, it could lead to corruption, it could lead to crashes, crashing of the system. So that is very important. Now, why do we need to set up validation rule or validation checks or validation routine? As I said, what is validation in itself? Validation rule is the technique used to ensure that data that is captured meets certain criteria. Reasonable data is captured. So when you are setting up validation routine, what you are doing invariably is to make sure that unreasonable data is what is avoided. So to make sure that unreasonable data or data that do not meet the criteria are trapped and then dealt with, or removed, trapped and removed. So something like that. Then why do you need to test the output format? The output format will tell you clearly how your data will be displayed on screen. So that is the reason why we need to test that, so you can be sure that when users will begin to use the system, they can have an idea of, oh, this is how the layout of the data will be on the screen or on the printout. So you do that to make sure data is clearly laid out and seen on the screen or on the printer, on the screen or the printer. So that is very important. Then another one, which is another question, is question B. It's saying that computer software can be tested using normal data, extreme data, and abnormal data. So normal, extreme, or abnormal data. So explain what is abnormal test data. In this case, abnormal test data, it means that data that will not be accepted by the system. So you can say abnormal data, abnormal test data is data that is outside the limit of acceptability, hence it will not be accepted by the system. Okay, that is abnormal test data. Then the next question, C, following the development and testing of the new system, technical documentation is produced. Explain why technical documentation is needed. Why is technical documentation needed? When a new system is developed, now we have different kind of documentation. In the process, we have user documentation and technical documentation. For user documentation, that comes in form of manual that will aid the user to use the system efficiently, to understand how the system works. But for technical documentation also, that could add to what the user already knows. But of course, for technical people that may want to carry out maintenance routine on the system, how the system will be installed, the kind of error messages and their meanings and all that. So that's exactly what the question is asking us. So to answer this question, we can say that technical documentation helps the technical people, such as the programmer. Technical documentation helps programmers or analysts or developers to make improvements on the system as and when due, without any kind of issues. Okay, that's why they need that, so they can easily make repair, they can use the documentation to easily carry out repair or maintenance on the system. All right, good. That's very important for technical documentation. Now let's go to the next question. D, the file structure, validation routines, and output formats are all components of technical documentation. State 3 other components that we can find in the technical documentation. When you see this type of question, you don't need to repeat that, oh, it contains the file structure, the validation routine, output format. That means all these ones have been stated. So mention other 3 that could be contained in the technical documentation. So you could start by saying, if we have output format, that means we can also have input format. This is sense input format. We can have that. We can see limitations of the system, what the system cannot do or shouldn't do, limitation of the system, list of variables. There are a lot of content, purpose of the system, error, purpose of the system. We can have that. We can have a system flowchart and technical information about the system, software requirements, okay, and some of the list of variables. So a whole lot. So but any 3 will give you the full mark here. Then question 5, the use of computer equipment can lead to many different safety issues. When we use computer for a long time, it could lead to some health issues and safety issues. But in this case, they want us to consider the safety issues that we can experience by using computer for a long time. So for each of the following safety issues, describe 3 different ways of minimizing the risk. So this question is even better. They have listed the risk or the safety issues. They want us to talk about how to minimize the risk. So for electrocution, so what are the things we need to do to make sure that we don't give ourselves up or open ourselves up to electrocution hazard. So there are a lot of things to check. You can regularly check insulation of the wire, be sure that they are well insulated and the insulation is still there. You can also check that we check the equipment regularly. Regular check on the equipment. Do not touch bare wires, do not touch bare or live wires with wet hand. All right, that is very important. And we can also make use of residual circuit breaker. Use residual circuit breakers. Okay, good. Any 3 year will give you the full mark, so take note of that. Then when it is trailing leads, we have wires that are trailing, so there are a lot of things we can do to minimize this hazard. A very good one that comes to mind is use of cable duct. You understand, you're tucking the table. That's very important. So then you can place cable in ceilings or where it will not be open, conduits. That's very important. You can make sure that you can also make use of wireless technology where applicable. So instead of using wire equipment, if it can be wireless, why not go for it? Then you can place cable under carpet or in false ceilings. Okay, under carpet or in false ceilings, you know, so that it will not be open. Okay, any 3 year will give you the full mark. Then the next question, compare and contrast. Anytime we have this kind of question, compare and contrast phishing and pharming. So what do they have in common? What are the differences? So basically it's talking about similarities and their differences. So what is so special about phishing or pharming, and then what they have in common? So we can start with the similarities, that whether phishing or pharming, all these are they can be used on the internet. So that is, both threats use the internet or occur on the internet and trying to gain access to people's personal data. So, and how do they do that? They direct user to fake website, The website will look legitimate, you know. So that is one thing about both of them that we need to take note of that. So they are threats to data. They are threats to users' data. So this is how many mark question? Let me confirm, 6. So we could make it 3-3. Then in differences, we can say that phishing uses legitimate looking email. The purpose looking email look like it come originally from the sender with good intention, but it is not to target users. So that's one thing about phishing. And then by so doing, he asks users to click a link, asking them to click a link, so then just to redirect them to the wrong website. So most times the user needs to know whether what I want to click will be right or not. So after they are clicked, then it redirect them user to the wrong or false or fake website. Okay, so that is for phishing. But pharming, most of the time, it has to do with installation of malicious code. In pharming, okay, a malicious code will be installed on the user's computer, and while it is installed, what will happen? Then the software redirects. Can you see? Redirect the user to a fake website. So this happens without the user's knowledge. You understand? So the difference between the phishing and pharming, as you is redirecting you under phishing, you will know that, oh, you are clicking, it requires your action. You understand? But in pharming, unknowing to you, a malicious code would have been installed. Do you understand? So we can say with this that this is done. The website looks legitimate, and it is without the user's active knowledge. So that's one thing about pharming. So please take note of that. Then the next question now says that state 2 precautions that the user should take to protect their data from phishing attack. Now that you know that it is phishing, so it's something that you can easily control. So what you need to do is that before you open email addresses, check the before you check open email content, check the email addresses. So that is very important to be sure. Email addresses before opening the email content. Okay, then when you see that the email address is looking suspicious, do not reply to unsecure email addresses. Do not reply. Reply to unsecure email addresses, especially if it has not been stored on your contacts. You need to be careful with that. Do not just click on links randomly. On random links within unsecure email. Okay, so take note of that. Do not give personal information out in emails. Give out personal information in emails. So be careful when somebody's asking for personal information. So you need to be careful. Then the next one is state 2 precautions to the user that the user should take to protect their data from pharming attacks. So since we know that pharming attacks, the best thing you need to look at is check the URL, the website. The moment you are seeing something suspicious, the padlock is not there, it's not in green mode, you need to be careful. Check the URL addresses that you visit. Then make sure you make use of up-to-date updated anti-malware. To remove malicious code on your computer. Then don't give out personal information to on untrusted websites. So any tool will give you will earn you the 2 mark. So question 7, a group of people use satellite navigation, that's SatNav, on their smartphones when walking in remote areas of the countryside. Discuss the benefits and drawbacks of using satellite navigation systems in this scenario. So you have to give the response to this question in relation to the scenario cited here. So whenever you want to give this, you need to be careful that you are not going out of what the question is asking you. So the first thing you can say is that you can the workers or the people, the group of people, they have told us a group of people, they use satellite system on their smartphone when they are walking, trekking in remote areas of the countryside. So what they can do is that they do not need to carry a number of paper maps, of course, because the satellite navigation system on their smartphone will guide them instead of having to go with a paper map and be checking every now and then. So they know that, and it could give them real-time updates of their position, so they can easily locate their route, the best route they need to. So, and you know that maps such as this is more updated than paper map, okay, because maps on paper, it depends on the date it was printed or it was published, so to say. So these are some of the points you can give as to the benefits of using the sat nav in this scenario. So you can say the people do not need to go about with paper maps, so which makes the sat nav to be more robust nav system is more robust. Why? Because it can't easily tear like paper map. You understand? So, and it can give real-time updates of their position. Okay, so sat nav, it is more up to date than paper map, so easier to find best routes for their work. Okay, good. So all of these are the benefits, but let's talk about the drawbacks now. So one thing, because the question has said in remote areas, so take note of that, remote areas. So the signal may be lost suddenly for remote areas, of course. So you can say weak signal in remote areas could hamper their work. You understand? So which means they could be lost. So then system needs to be kept up to date. The route changes, so then the system needs to be kept up to date as their routes change, and that could lead to over dependency on the technology. Okay, which means excess of anything is not good. So this and some other points are what you can use on this question. Then the next question, question 8, a bookshop is setting up a database. This is a question on database of the books that it sells. Part of the database is shown. Name of book, we have a type of book. You can see NF, price, 2 decimal places, date of publication, and you see the format of the date. So then the question is saying, for each of the validation checks, state the most appropriate field. Your answer must be different in each case. You see that, so you don't repeat the same validation check. Okay, so for format check, you can see which one is more appropriate when you look at this field: name of book, type of book, price, date of publication. If you look at it for formats, it will probably be date of publication. Why? Because the date given, both of them follow a particular format. You can see the first 2 digits is talking about day, the middle digit is talking about month, and the last 4 is talking about year, and it's consistent. So we can say for this, the best answer could be date of publication, and you have to write the answer according to how it is given: date of publication, there's underscore, so you have to write it that way. Then range, you want that has a range. Of course, we'll say for range it will probably be price in this case, in this scenario. So this does not show any range, but this could show range, because in range you have the minimum and the maximum. Okay, so you can say price. Then the next one is length. Length check. Let's see, length of character. So we can say type of book. Look at type of book. It has one character, type of book. So that is better for length check. Type of underscore book. You have to type it the way it is given in the question: type of book. Then question B, validation and verification checks are carried out on the data. Explain why both. I've seen this kind of question before. Why both validation and verification are needed? Okay, validation would do its own work while verification does its own work. So this is a 4-mark question. So then we talk about why both of them are needed. So we can start by saying both. The reason why we use them is so that we can trap errors down. Okay, so they help reduce the number of errors in the data entry process. So that's why they are needed, both of them. So then we can also say, we'll now talk about each of them. So specifically what the verification will do, what the validation will do. So like I told you earlier, what validation is. So validation checks for data to be reasonable before capturing it, reasonable or meet certain criteria. Okay, so reasonable or meet certain criteria like length and other certain criteria. Then verification, on the other hand, will check that the data has been copied correctly from one source to another. That is the meaning of verification: has been copied correctly from the source document. Okay, good. So if only one is used, there could be errors on the other one. So I will give example. For example, if you use only validation and you say, oh, it has to be a particular length. So what about verification? If you meet the length of one character, but instead of n, if you put a, it's actually one character. Can you see? That's length check, but verification is out of it. So that's exactly what we're saying. So we can say the data may be sensible or reasonable, that is validation, but not correct, that is verification. The data may be reasonable, that is validation, but not copied or transcribed correctly, and that is what verification. So you can see the reason why both of them should be used, so that you can be sure that data entry is without error. So state one method of verification. We have different methods for verification, especially we have two that we talk about most of the time. We have visual check and double data entry. So the question is asking us to just mention any one out of these two. So for me, let me mention the two, so you can pick any one for yourself for this. So let me pick that. I can say visual check, or you can say double data entry. Okay, double data entry, visual check, or visual verification. Okay, then question 9, the next question. A company's computer network uses a switch. Explain the purpose of a network switch. Why do we use a switch? You know, one thing about a switch is that a switch is intelligent. We know that. So as compared to a hub. So then let's go to purpose of using a switch. So we can say that just like a hub, a switch connects some more computers together to form a network. So connect devices together to form a LAN. So that is one, and by so doing, you can expand the range of the LAN. It is intelligent because it sends data packet to specific devices that require it. It sends data packet to specific devices based on their request. Devices that request it. Okay, and because of that, so it reduces network traffic. Which makes it secure. It secures the data. The data it's sending. All right. Then question 9b: a smart TV can connect to a network using Wi-Fi. So describe how the smart TV can be connected to the Wi-Fi. So this kind of question is asking you for the steps. Describe how the steps, you'll be using smart TV at home, so you'll be able to say this correctly. So let's talk about the steps that we need to do to follow, rather, to connect the smart TV to the Wi-Fi. So let's go. We can say you turn on the TV. The TV is turned on. The user opens the setting menu. Okay, then you will see the signal. By so doing, you choose connect to available network. So then you see a list of available network appear. You select a network, your preferred network. They enter the password when it requires that. They enter password, then click on connect. So if it didn't connect, you will see error message to know why it did not connect. So select the type of network that the smart TV would connect to. So it could be local area network, LAN, that is cable, and it could be wireless. So it could be wireless, that is wireless LAN, and it could be local cabled LAN. Okay, So then the next one is question 10. A bank's website uses secure socket layer SSL. So the question is asking you, what is SSL? SSL, or secure socket layer, is talking about protocol. So you can say communication protocol that is used to secure the communication on the website. So you can say communication protocol is SSL, simply means secure socket layer. As they have said, it is a communication protocol which allows data to be sent securely over the internet. Okay, so that's why when you see a website that has SSL, okay, you can be sure that, oh, it is secure. So what it does simply is that it sets up an encrypted link between a web server, an encrypted a web server and a browser. Of course, when you use a browser, the browser communicates with the web browser to be sure that the data is receiving from the web server is secure and somebody is not eavesdropping. Okay, state how a user will know that SSL was being used on the website. You can know with these two things. I've mentioned them earlier. Number one, the website address starts with HTTP and S, which the S means secure. So hypertext transmission protocol. So you have to be sure that it is secure with an S. Then you will see an icon of a green padlock. Okay, green padlock that is locked padlock. Okay, so if the padlock is open, then that means it's not secure or it doesn't have SSL. Then the next question, a search engine could be used to find the bank's website. Describe the benefit and drawbacks of using a search engine to find the website. Okay, everybody uses search engine a lot these days, so they are asking us to describe the benefits of using a search engine and the drawbacks. When you use a search engine, you can be sure that the search will be faster. Okay, so using a search engine makes the search faster. The search for the website faster, and by so doing, because you're going to put the keywords, you don't need to put everything, then it looks for it. So as keywords can be searched out, can be used for the search, so you don't need to know the URL. So the website can be easily found without knowing the URL beforehand. So that's it. But then the drawbacks is that it can lead to information overload, because the search engine will return a whole lot of information. So it can lead to information overload. You begin to see a whole lot of websites that you didn't bargain for, so which can make it somehow difficult to find the relevant information. That you're looking for, because you have too many. So you can be given a lot of sponsored sites, you understand, which would eventually take your time. So this and some other points can be used to answer this question. So let me add that to make it 5 points. So sponsored sites can be placed at the top of the search results, and that does not mean the one at the top is the right one of the search results. So those are some of the disadvantages. Okay, question 11. A student is working on a project and needs to transfer some of her files from the college computer to her home computer. One way in which the student could transfer the file is uploading them onto the cloud. So this is talking about cloud storage. Take note of this. State 3 other ways in which the student can transfer the files. So if it's not storing on the cloud, what other methods can the student use? So you can send it as an attachment on an email, the students can attach it in an email. You could use a pen drive. You could use maybe a portable SSD, not just SSD, portable. A portable SSD. If you don't say portable, you can say external SSD. So please take note of that, portable or external SSD, and it could be external hard disk drive. So please take note. If not SSD, it could be hard disk drive. So anyone, and it could be CD drive. Okay, then question B. Describe how the student could use the cloud to transfer the project. Okay, if you want to use the cloud, you need to have your own. You would have signed up with the cloud provider. You have your login details. So if you want to use it, then what you need to do is that you log on to the cloud account. Log on to the cloud account. You are at the college, of course, at the college. Then upload the project, onto the cloud. Then after it has uploaded, save it. Then after you have done that, when the student gets home, at the student, then log into the cloud account at home. When he gets home, then download it to his local computer. Or PC. Alright, and that's very simple. So question 12. State the processing involved in withdrawing cash from an ATM after a customer has inserted his card into the machine. So when a customer inserts his card into the ATM, a whole lot of processes take place. So what will happen first is that then the bank computer will be contacted. Then it will ask for the PIN, because it is at the point of contacting the bank, then it recognizes what bank and type of card the card is. So that's the first thing that happens. It contacts the bank's computer, then it checks the PIN if it is correct, check if the card is not stolen, check the card is not stolen or damaged or valid, whether it is expired or not. Then it's after that you can allow access to customers accounts, then check if daily limit is not exceeded, exceeded yet. Then it's after that checks if there is enough money in the account. If not, it will say insufficient fund in the account or something like that. Then you will now update customers account. Okay, good. So, and that's how we have come to the end of this paper. What a beautiful attempt that we have made together in this video. So you can go back and check each of these one after the other, and you can be sure that if you compare it with what you have in the available textbook, you see that we have done justice to this question. So we'll look at other aspects of this series for May-June 2025, especially for those of you preparing for October-November 2025. This video is very useful for you. So see you in the next video. Make sure you like this video, share with other people, subscribe to our YouTube channel to encourage us to continue to work on past papers like this to help students do well in their IGCSE ICT examination. Bye for now.